Just about over a year ago, I was going through a grocery store and I happened to walk quickly beside the grape bin. And unfortunately for me, the grapes had fallen on the floor and I stepped on them and slipped and fell quite hard on my knees. And I really hurt myself. And I hurt myself so much that I was stunned. And I didn't know where I was for a long time. And then finally I was picked up and put on a chair and I just sat there, and eventually I got my wits about me and I was able to get out of the store and get into my car and barely drive it. But what ended up happening is that the injuries on my knees were so severe that one doctor suggested I have surgery immediately on both of my knees. I was lucky to find a second doctor who said absolutely not, that what I needed was to go into rehab and work in rehab on finding my strength and helping my knees heal, which I did. I worked and worked for about 6 months, and I did get stronger, and I did feel better, but I kept falling. And when I say falling, I would fall really hard, like I would just walk down the street and lose my balance and boom, I'd fall over. And I fell so often and sometimes so hard that I realized that I was really in a bad situation, and this was not something I was used to because I've been a dancer all my life and I'm an actor and I don't fall. So I had to figure out what to do. And what I realized is that I was out of balance. I didn't have balance, and how was I going to find that balance? So I went back into rehab and worked, but they put me on a balance beam. It was near the ground, but it's like a balance beam that you see gymnastics walk on. And I was walking forwards, and then I would be walking backwards. And when I'd lose my balance, what would end up happening is I would always have someone there to catch me. So I would just start falling, and then they'd catch me and I'd right myself up. And then finally, they told me that I was walking in a turned out position, which is where I had always known my balance to be. And we decided to start working in a parallel position. So I started walking in a parallel position with one foot in front, parallel, then I'd walk backwards. And what happened is that it was a whole new world for me, because I had never been in a world where I moved in a parallel position. I always, as a dancer, worked in turned out position with my feet, with my hips, and here I was walking parallel. And it was a surreal experience for me because I was suddenly finding myself in a different space than I ever had been before in my life. And one day I was walking parallel on the beam, and I started to fall, and I jumped off the beam. And my trainer at that point said to me, "You know, Memory, you have just healed yourself." Because for the first time, I was able to help myself and not fall, but jump off and save myself. It's like I came out of a fog, and the fog was that I had lost my balance, and suddenly I found it by just changing from a turned out position to a parallel position. But the one thing that it taught me, and the reason why I'm saying this to everyone now, is because I think that I realized something that a lot of people maybe can use for themselves, and that is that little adjustments, not big ones, but maybe just little adjustments that you can do in your life to bring you back in balance will make all the difference in the world. I hope that helps, and thank you for listening.